Welcome to Grieving to Believing. I'm Chris Green, and this is a space where sorrow is seen, stories are shared, and healing begins. Each episode, we walk together through the loss towards the quiet thought, hope, and faith that faith can offer. Now, you're not alone, and your grief is not the end of your story. Now, today we have this special guest of mine, one of my favorite people most of the time. We have Michael Shannon Moore here today, and better known as my son Shannon. Thank you, Shannon, for coming and agreeing to being with us today to share your journey of grieving to believing.
Absolutely honored to be here. And I want to go ahead and say right now that I'm super proud of what you're doing and happy to support you.
Thank you. Thank you. You have always been there for me. Now, we both went through a lot with your father,
Absolutely.
my husband. We found out very suddenly.
Your first husband.
No.
Second husband.
Thank you.
Okay. Second husband.
We found out very suddenly that your father and my husband had cancer. And immediately he was only given 6 months to live when we found out.
Right.
God blessed us, and we were very happy and grateful that we had 18 months with him.
Glad for you guys.
And during this time, I still worked because I was the only income at that time. So you were there with your father. And I remember there were several times that you had to call 911 because he had an issue. And you had to be there with him, and you had to take him to the emergency room. And you handled those challenges as an adult, not as a teenager that you were. Tell us about your grief journey with your father.
Oh, we're gonna jump right in, huh? Not even gonna sweat around in the shallow end. We're just gonna jump right in there.
How old were you?
Okay.
When your father passed.
I was young. It was my senior year of high school.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I was 17 years old.
Right.
I believe it happened towards the beginning of the year. So I believe towards the middle of the year is when he actually passed. So
Right.
halfway through my senior year of high school.
Okay. Tell us some of your early years with your father.
They were. It's not. I guess I'm old, so I suffer from a condition that you guys might know called CRS. Can't remember stuff. But from what I do remember, my dad instilled a love of nature
Mm-hmm.
in me. We used to go fishing a lot, camping. I believe we had a boat out at
Yep.
Lake Altoona. We used to go out to.
Yep.
Sports, of course. You and him were highly active and involved in youth sports for my whole life. So baseball and football for youth sports the whole time. So we instilled the love of sports and all that stuff. So a lot of good stuff. I mean, there were the bad stuff, but we kind of put that, or we shelved that stuff. You know what I mean? We have an opportunity of just kind of taking what we want to take with us.
Right. I know. I remember. I remember your dad always, whatever you did, whatever he got you involved in, he always wanted you to have the full knowledge and to be safe. I remember one Christmas, we were going to buy you a dirt bike.
Fond
Okay,
memory.
now that wasn't my idea, and I was totally against it.
Right? That's what I understand.
Because
Yeah.
I think you may have been 9 or 10 years old.
Around 10.
And I remember your dad wanted to make sure that when you got that bike, the first time you got on that bike, you could ride it. And he would have you in your bedroom, both of you sitting on the floor,
Uh-huh.
and he's teaching you how to ride and drive a dirt bike. With this is the gear, this is the feet, this you do this. And he did that for weeks and weeks
Yeah.
because he wanted to make sure that when you got on this dirt bike, you would be safe. One other thing I remember when we got the pool in the backyard, and this he and I behind the scenes, because whenever we I had a disagreement with him about his actions, his discipline.
His parenting style,
Yeah, we would talk about it, behind, but without you guys,
of course.
because I'd be raising, but I didn't do that in front of the kids. And I remember when we got the pool, and he would have you out there, and he would have you, I mean, going as a young kid, 15, 20, 30 laps,
Yeah.
back and forth, and I would think, and I felt so sorry for my son because he's out there, and when I'm, doing one of our conversations, I was like, why are you doing that? And he said to me, he said, because if he's out there and he accidentally fall in that pool, he needs to know how to swim. And that was just the type of person he was. He thought about what may happen.
Okay.
And when it happened, he wanted always you to be prepared for that. And I don't know if you remember those things, but that was
A
what,
lot of things I guess I can add what he did, and I guess you were a big part of that as well. Is that, and it's something that really sticks with me today. Is that I like to, I have these lifelong memories.
hmm
I don't have lots of memories of my dad, but the ones that I do have, they're I describe them as lifelong memories. He created them, and they've stuck with me ever since. I found that really important because after losing my father at such a young age, being in my 50s now, I don't have a lot of memories or memorabilia about him, but what I do and able to carry are these lifelong memories. Does that make sense?
yeah, yeah.
And that motorcycle was one of them. That motorcycle was definitely my question, though. You said you wasn't with it, but who got me those nice cowboy boots, though? I didn't have motorcycle riding boots. Somebody got me these really funky cowboy boots. You remember the cowboy boots?
I don't remember and then like you said, there's some things I don't remember, but I don't remember the cowboy boots.
I thought that might be a special little sauce.
I don't know, could have been.
So yeah, so lifelong memories. That's kind of how that happened. Is just being able to have these experiences I've had in my life that have been extraordinary, that I've carried into my adulthood, that have allowed me to define myself.
Now, share with us, how did it change you, or how did it change you losing your father at 17? What was your grief process, or were you too young to have a grief process?
That's a great question. Basically, if I look back on it like some sort of story or chapters in my life, at that time, naturally, I was in the position to move away to school. You guys had reared me or brought me up right to where I was in the process of leaving the nest anyway. I don't even think it was an option to stay, honestly. If I remember correctly, my dad's like, "You're out of here." So I was in the process of leaving the nest. So it was a natural selection of me going to college. But I didn't have the tools. Of course, I wouldn't expected to have the tools, but I didn't per se have the tools to grieve in a healthy way. And I'm sure this is a safe spot, but I don't want to get into the depths and details of what I did when I went to college.
Mm-hmm.
But let's just say that
Because I know you came from a very strict background.
yeah, and I went to college, and let's just say that debauchery. I mean, there was a lot of debauchery that I was involved to. I didn't have a time to sit back and grieve properly. I went into freshman, the party state, going to parties and meeting new people. And so I was totally distracted by just living life, I'd say.
Totally different.
Yeah.
Totally different lifestyle now.
Well, it was torn. I mean, I had to live my life. I had to continue on. I couldn't stop living my life. I'd already applied to colleges. I had options. I think I chose the closest option, or one of the closest options that I wanted to do, to be close to you, because I was kind of torn leaving and staying at that time. But I knew I had to do it.
And I know one of the reasons that you chose Georgia Southern at that time, because Georgia Southern wasn't what it is today. It was a smaller college, and the ratio was not the same that it is now.
Well, not necessarily true. Actually, during that time, one of my founding reasons was, well, a couple reasons was because it was close to the coast. I really like Savannah.
And that was what I was getting to.
You're taking us down Savannah. But at that time, Playboy magazine had started this thing where they were rating colleges, and I think Georgia Southern one had just become a university. It went from a college to a university the first year I went down there, and then Playboy magazine had called it the #1 party school in the nation. It was an article.
Let's see.
And I was like, what?
We didn't talk about that. That
Yeah.
wasn't one of the reasons that you wanted to go to Savannah. Okay.
Yeah, that was absolutely a founding, because there was some publicity about it, and a lot of people that I went to high school with, they were really happy about that as well. So yeah, I hope that answered that question.
You didn't stay at Georgia Southern, and you only went there for 3 years.
Yeah.
And I know one of the reasons that you told me that you, being a parent, paying for college,
Mm.
I tried to have a lot of influence on your life because I'm paying for this education. And then I know in your third year, you came to me and you said, you know what? I'm going to go to Alaska and I'm going to work on the fishing boats so I can make the money and I can pay for my college education. Was that a part of you traveling down this still grief pattern life and just trying to get things done differently?
I'm sorry, I know this is conversation. I'm sorry, I was too busy trying to remember you paying for college, girl. Because I know I paid for my loan.
Oh, you trying to have a flashback, huh?
Yeah, I know I was paying for them loans like up until 10 years ago. But anyway, what was the question again?
Okay. You wanted to pay for your college education, right?
Uh-huh.
And you wanted to go to Alaska and work on the fishing boat.
Oh, yeah, kind of. No, not really. But yes, I understand. Yep. I know the time that you're speaking of. Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Was that part of your wanting to change your lifestyle because of your grieving, or was it just, hey, I'm going to do this?
Yeah, it's really quickly, really briefly. It was just, I guess, I'd been in Statesboro long enough, and I'd matured in Statesboro, and the people that I were hanging around, Statesboro's Georgia Southern, where I went to school. And the people that I were hanging around, my social circle, they were already feeling the same, and they were migrating to places like Colorado and California. So I'd outgrown Statesboro. I was very interested in a different environment, but I didn't want to go out west and go to the same towns as my friends did. So the true story, the way it really happened, is I went to a party. Actually went to a party. It was like a bonfire keg party or whatever. I'm sitting next to the keg, and I'm talking to this white guy that looks just like Dwayne Allman or something, and he's telling about he went to Alaska the previous summer, and he's telling me about his experience there, and I'm just like, wow. The whole time I'm like, whoa, tell me more. So he tells me about Alaska, and then something hits me. It's like, I think I can do that. And then I actually went back to my apartment where my roommates were. I was like, hey guys, I think I'm going to go to Alaska. And pretty much there were other factors that kind of expedited the process, but that was pretty much how I got introduced to the fact that I should go to Alaska because, one, you could make money there, and it was the stories he was telling me sounded outrageous.
I know. Okay. And I know that you spent 9 years in Alaska, didn't you?
It was a long time, maybe off and on about 15 years. And then I'd met my first wife. She was Canadian. And then we were going back and forth from Canada to Alaska for a long time.
And then I know you went to Alaska, you went to Canada, and you finally ended up, you spent five years in Canada?
Almost a decade.
Really? For some reason I was, okay. So, and then
I actually got my landed immigrant status. I'm, half
Yeah.
a Canadian citizenship.
You have dual citizenship.
They don't call it dual citizenship anymore, but it's the same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you migrated from there to California.
There was a few places. I was in Costa Rica for a while. You remember my trip to Costa Rica? I
Yeah.
was there for about a year in Costa Rica. If
Yeah.
you don't remember. And then a few other places. But yep, that's pretty much. It's been a long trip.
Now, with all your traveling and all the places that you've gone and you've lived and you've been, do you think that you were running from your grief, or was this just your life that you wanted to prepare for yourself?
That's an awesome question. It's an awesome question. I can answer that by just starting with my time in Alaska. Alaska changed me a lot as far as the person who I am today. Alaska's a weird state. It's way north. When I first went to Alaska, I think you were asking me about igloos and stuff, which is pretty fun. But when I went up there, I learned about different perspectives. And to make a long story short, I don't think I was running away from something, from grief. I think it was more that I was running toward something.
Mm-hmm.
There's a difference.
Oh yes.
There's a difference of running, right? I think I was running towards a newer opportunity, something that was connecting me, fate, or just a different destiny, right? I was writing my own chapter. And then once I put my feet down in Alaska, just the state and environment of itself, opened up many doors and windows for me to just become the person I am today.
And I know that a girl took you to Canada, and I also know a girl took you to California, and that's how you got through these travels. Were you happy with the way that these travels took you? Was this a good journey for you to start in Alaska, end up in Canada, and then California?
Yeah, absolutely. I really feel like, personally for me, that my chapters in my own personal book of life, I believe that they're amazing. I can't wait to sit down and write them myself, to relive them personally and to pin them to paper, others to enjoy and to experience as well. I think I've grown from those experiences and those travels. I think travel is one of the most important things that a person can do to expand their horizons, their compassion, their empathy, and love. It was love that actually brought me to those different places, not just a
Right.
woman.
Yeah,
I
you were
was
in love
searching
with
for,
we were in love with this girl,
yeah.
and you fell in love with this girl, and
I fell in love with the possibility of building something.
with these people.
Yeah.
Now I know that
And experiences as well. Experience is huge for me. Like I was saying before, lifelong experiences, that's really one of the things that I try to bring to the table for my own kids as well, is having those lifelong experiences. Because, if they do have this revelation, you pass away, you die or whatever, and your whole life is, flashed in front of you there, I'm really looking forward to mine, for sure.
now let me just go back to one thing. Your dad wasn't there for your graduation. He wasn't there, going off to college.
Absolutely.
He wasn't there for your marriage, your first love and your first marriage. He
Absolutely.
wasn't there when his first grandchild was born.
Correct.
How did these events affect you? Him not being there to share them with you.
That's a difficult question to answer. As far as haven't reflected really on that before. I guess I can maybe shine some insight on this aspect. So, my father passed away at 42,
Mm-hmm.
young age. And so I used to say that you're not a man until your father passes away. You're just someone else's son.
Mm-hmm.
So by my right, I became a man at 18. When he
Yeah,
passed away.
by your right, yes.
By my right. With that being said, I also know that when I came to the early age around 40, 41, I started to be faced with this overcoming feeling of mortality. And I don't know if it's natural for people to really start feeling this until they get to the age of where their parents die, because you're like, I don't know. But in my concept, I would think that a lot of people don't get scared of dying until their parents die and they put an age. Oh, well, my parents died at 94, so at least I've got up until then, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, my dad died at 42.
So is this what you thought about your life?
So when it came close to 42, that mortality started coming in of like, oh, wow.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow.
Is this going to happen to me?
Wow.
Yeah.
I need to start doing, that mortality of just, life is short.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
At 42, my dad was gone, Yeah. His book isn't as big as probably he wanted it to be, right?
Right. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So with that being said, I had to start evaluating how I wanted to live my life, prioritize my life, what was important.
I know. I know. Your life has been very unusual.
To say the least.
Your travel has taken you so many places, and I remember many years ago you said to me, I'm retired now. I'm retired because you were doing all these. I mean, you were doing all these things. You were living in Alaska. You were living off the land sometimes. You were doing what you wanted to do. You was not. You did not do structure work. You know what I'm saying?
I did kind of, but it was more seasonally work. So
Right.
I got into
But
a
it
seasonal
was more
work.
what you wanted to do rather than what we do as most people. You go to 9 to 5 and you work that until time to retirement, and then you get your thing was, I am retired now. I'm fishing, I'm hunting, I'm skiing, I'm snowboarding. I'm doing all these things now. So when I get to be 50 something,
I'll go to
that's
school.
when I'll start working.
I'll pursue my master's degree. I'll go to. I'll continue with education. There's always something. I'll get a job at a five and dime. I understand experiences mean a lot.
Yeah.
Based on the beauty that you guys gave me. The rearing and everything that you guys afforded me in life. Experiences are way more important. A lot of things, right?
Right. Yeah. So you have come to a place in your life that you have matured. You have a family now. You have 2 beautiful kids that you gave me, 2 beautiful grandkids. How do they know their grandfather?
Oh, that's a great question. Not as well as they should, only because of just the fact that it's been such a long time. I try. They know his name. They know a lot of stories that I give them, the same stories. But as far as knowing him, no, because I don't think I really knew him. I didn't know him. Myself, I didn't know him. I still, you probably don't know this, but my godfather, Bill Kinney,
Mm-hmm.
I occasionally will call him and we'll have conversations, and Bill will tell me, more about my father, about when he was running with them during their 20s and 30s, and I would ask follow-up questions and detailed questions and stuff like that. But I didn't really know him, you know what I mean?
Oh,
So
no.
it's hard for me to pass on things. I knew of certain things. There was things during his life, during his illness, that was very hard to overcome. I had to put things in a box and wrap that box up and then put it in a time capsule and then come back and revisit it every so often and open it up and kind of like cherish it, put it back in that time capsule, come back and keep living life. You know what I mean? I'm not the one to get caught up. You know what I mean? Get stuck in a situation. I like momentum. I think momentum is what moved me from the grieving from when it first happened. The keeping active, keeping my brain active, keeping my staying at service to other people, giving myself. And I didn't really give my time or myself that time to really let it hit me. And then after I guess, moving so long, it kind of just that grief behind me, just kind of like the distance kind of. So now that I'm able to transcend a lot of things, hold on. Just now that I'm able to transcend a lot of things, and when I mean transcend, I mean I meditate, so I'm able to transcend my ego. So when I transcend and I'm able to look back at that grief that was back there trying to catch up to me, I can pick and choose what I'd like to work on and patch and repair at that time.
So is this where you are at 53 with your grieving?
Yeah, it's like an open stream. There's really there's no beginning or there's no end of how to describe it.
Mhm.
It is what I put into it. So if I don't put into this process for years, it might stay, what it is. But if I do find myself putting into it, with technology today, there's so many opportunities to where you don't have to go to, a counselor or a psychologist or whatever, that you can actually find other ways to heal through, social media or YouTube's or just other people out there telling their story. I'm a big fan of Abraham Hicks. Are you familiar with
No, no. Who is he?
um, Abraham Hicks? I believe, if I have this correctly, is just a identity, but it is really started by this couple, and this couple was together, and the wife was able to actually connect with source energy. So I know I'm in a safe spot. I'm not trying to, you know, take away from anyone's religion or anything like that, but these people have a connection with source energy, and source energy is everywhere and everything. So they're able to connect with the Akasha records and things like that, and other forms of, I guess, what I would call truth, things that I know to be true,
Hmm.
and I find comfort in that.
Now, this is a question I ask all my guests. Do you think you have gone from grieving to believing, or are you still in that stage, even in your life now?
I think once you lose someone, you'll always be in grief. You know, I think grieving is dynamic. It's something that you don't really lose.
Hmm.
I believe as long as you are saying that person's name, you're grieving, as well as praising that person in the same, in the same breath, in the same way, in the same essence. So it's like a yin and yang. I believe that um, grieving and healing are synonymous. So if I'm grieving, you better believe I'm healing. If I'm healing, you better believe I'm grieving. So depends on my perspective. If I want to use healing instead of grieving, just know that it's the same.
Is there anything else that you would like to share with us today?
Uh, no, just I know that this is, I know this is your baby. Thank you very much for inviting me and allowing me to tell my story. Just know that people are out there. This is helping. We're in San Diego. We love watching your podcasts from across the country, and we just love it. And just keep doing what you're doing. Right?
Well, I really, really thank you, my favorite son, for being here with me today, sharing your story. I know that there are, because I'm your mom, there are certain things I did not want to go into. And I always try to be very honest with these podcasts, but sometimes you have to recognize and respect people's feelings. So
Oh yeah,
sometimes you have to kind of shy away from things that you would have normally ask. And I know that it has been very, very hard for you, even today, to have lost your father. I know that
absolutely.
for years and years and years and years and years, you would call me um, on October the 11th and say, you know, today is the day, and I knew what you meant. You know, the day that was your father's birthday. So I know that you still have some grief going on even after all these years.
Absolutely.
Um, and I wished, as your mom, I could do something to help you with that. But grief is very individual, and you can be there for somebody, but you can't change their grief journey. You
Absolutely.
just have to pray that it gets easier and easier, and one day it will be just memories that you smile about.
Absolutely.
So I thank you for being here today, and I thank you guys for sitting down and watching this podcast. As you know, we're here every other week to share grieving and believing with you. We do this hoping that we can help somebody out there to make you understand that whatever you're going through, you're not alone. We both have gone through it. We both are still grieving about our loss, but it will get better. It will get easier. Don't forget to tune in 2 weeks, share, and hit that bell so you can be notified, and hope that everybody can get through their life right now with what's going on with them. Thank you again for coming out and being with me. I know that
Absolutely.
I know I have worked you to death almost with all the honeydew list that you came to do.
I'm happy to be here.
But thank you for sitting down and giving us a few moments of your time.
Anything that's important to you is important to me.
I love you.
Love you too.
Love you guys too. See you later, and have a wonderful, wonderful time every time that you get with us.
Goodbye.